Thanks for choosing In the Trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, and our special guest today, center Ted Karras, the pivot, point man for the Bengals in their offensive line. The only guy, besides the quarterback, that handles the football every single play. We had a good one doing it here with the Cincinnati Bengals. He's a captain for a reason. He's won 2 Super Bowls, been on 2 Super Bowl winning teams for a reason. Ted Karras understands the game of football. He understands what it takes to compete at the high level, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, every way you can. He talks about that. He talks about recharging the batteries during the bye. He talks about the stretch run, final 8 games, and what it's going to take to achieve their goals. Ted Karras knows what it's going to take. Ted Karras has been there. That veteran presence and experience is invaluable. You're going to love Ted Karras. Everybody does. Thanks for joining us once again in the Trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, coming to you from our outstanding studios. And we have an outstanding guest with us right now. This guy is a leader of the football team, captain, center extraordinaire, none other than Mr. Ted Karras. Appreciate you joining us on your bye. Your bye's already started, Ted. Appreciate it, sir.
Well, thank you for having me, Dave. That's an excellent bio. I'm blushing right
now. Oh man! So that was a heck of a football game against the Carolina Panthers for the guys up front. I'm going to read a quote that I thought was great. Earlier in the week before the Carolina Panthers game from Ted Karras. I'm going to be a demeanor hound. There's not going to be any stalking. There's not going to be any moping. We're going to get back to work. And I'll be a son of a gun if you guys didn't get back to work and just kick some tail, man. It was awesome.
That was so awesome. And, I didn't even have to hound anyone. This is the best, one of the best locker rooms I've ever been a part of. And, these guys come to work every day with the same mission, that's ultimately to achieve victory. So it was a great week of practice, very smooth, very clean. And, that translates to good performance on Sunday, which was what happened.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And, as a former lineman, it all comes down to like fit, and then finish once you get fitted right. And it was just a little bit off, in terms of the fit against Cleveland. And you mentioned it, a hat on a hat, make sure you get that right hat on the hat in proper placement and all that sort of thing. And it's just, sometimes it's just a little bit, but it makes a big, big difference. But I'll tell you what, against Carolina, man, you guys were fitting, finishing, moving bodies. I mean, it was a sight to behold, man.
It was a lot of fun out there and executing at a high level. I got to give a lot of credit to Joe Mixon. He made some excellent reads and some really outstanding runs. And, to a franchise record, big congratulations to him. That's really special. Anytime you can have a record, in a franchise in this league is a special moment.
A few guys in the locker room mentioned Brian Callahan's Saturday meeting that, he was pretty much all business and there was a little bit of urgency as such, or whatever his presentation was like. Can you share, not necessarily what he said, but how he said it? Was it something that kind of was the I, dotting the I and crossing the T as the week ended and you guys went into that football game?
Well, I don't think the O-line was in this meeting because a few people have asked me about this, and I don't know. No, I can't recall, him. He has a meeting at the beginning of the week, but I heard some great things, though, from the skill guys. Everyone was fired up, ready to go, Saturday night or Friday night. And it was, obviously whatever he said in that meeting was great because the offense, I thought everyone executed at a very high level.
So what did you guys talk about as an offensive line? Not necessarily just, Frank talking to the players, but amongst yourselves. I mean, what was the message that was conveyed up and down the line of scrimmage to each other during the course of the week?
Well, we knew we were going to have, a tough challenge. Derek Brown and Matt Ioannidis and Brian Burns are, 3 great D linemen. So the personnel, we were, very locked in on who they were, how they did things, and knew that we're going to have to play our biggest, best performance, our strongest performance, especially on the inside. I thought me, Cap, and Cordell, we were very focused on, handling those two guys. And ultimately, they didn't really end up on the stat sheet at all. So that's kudos to those two, and, the overall O-line performance as a whole.
Yeah, I thought that the way you attacked them was great. Like you got after them inside, like you talked about, to anchor them and stabilize them. And then once you did that, then came the angle blocking. The pin and pull, where you'd pin and pull the tackle. Both LC and Jonah were getting out there and getting big body on smaller body and just pancaking people. And really everybody, offensive line blocked well, pulling guards, trapping. A lot of things. I mean, Carolina's like, "Whoa, where's it coming from now? What angle am I going to get hit from? Who's going to hit me first?" And Hayden Hurst made a block on Burns that was, he brought it, man. He Burns felt that hit. I think he was out of the game for a little while, and totally legal. I mean, it's just a heck of a physical thing, and it seemed to me that was the message of the night. I mean, you guys, the physicality of it was very impressive.
And when you go back and watch that film, there's so many big impact blocks by, guys that aren't linemen. I mean, Trent Taylor and Tyler Boyd cracking defensive ends. Samaje Perine, I would put up as the best blitz protection back in the league. He makes some blocks that are really, really big for our success. And then shout out to the tight ends. Hayden, Mitch Wilcox had a lot of good blocks in the game. Devin Asiasi. So, a lot of people were stepping up. Receivers were blocking. O-line was getting our job done. And, Joe was really running the ball hard. And, that translated into 5 touchdowns for Joe Mixon and a big game on the ground. So, we're going to have to continue to do that. And we have a stretch here coming up with, a lot of good defensive fronts, a lot of good teams. And, we're going to need to, score and maintain time of possession. And that's the formula to do it.
Man, time of possession. The first half, some of the numbers are nuts. They really are, Ted. I haven't seen the first half like that, where it was so much to so little. Not just 35-0. I mean, statistically, everywhere you can be. You mentioned time of possession. You guys had the ball 21 minutes and 44 seconds to their 8 minutes and 16 seconds. I've never seen a time of possession advantage in the first half of 13 minutes and 32 seconds. I mean, that's a big number for a game, not a half. You guys ran 45 snaps for 311 yards and 35 points. They ran 17 snaps for 32 yards, less than 2 yards of play, for no points. I mean, it was shake up a big old can of butt whip and spray it all over, man. Plus you were +3 in the turnover department too. I mean, every way that you could dominate the Carolina Panthers as a football team, you guys dominated them.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'd never been a part of a half like that either. I mean, 35 points, I can't even, I would say at any level, I mean, that's a strong offensive performance. And we were feeling that 21 minutes. I know I was going into halftime after that last touchdown. I had a nice cold red Gatorade ready to go for the second half. But yeah, we were out there 20 minutes of football. So, obviously though, that's what you want to do. Make them play defense, have your defense on the sidelines in an uncharacteristically hot November afternoon. It was pretty interesting weather too. So I thought we handled it. It's a testament to our conditioning. Credit to Joey Bose and our strength staff, keeping us in condition, ready to go, the distance in a hot November day.
Joe Mixon in the half, 15 carries, 113 yards at halftime, and already had three rushing touchdowns. I thought an interesting thing was during the course of the game, you had 2 running backs bust runs for 29 yards. Joe Mixon had one for 29. Samaje Perine. I mean, Joe averaged over 7 yards a carry. Samaje averaged over 8.5. I mean, the 2 running backs combined, let me make sure I get this right. I think it was 28 carries. Yeah, 28 carries, 204 yards out of Joe Mixon and Samaje Perine combined. And they both hit one for 29. That's like you said, that's like getting it done at all levels. So you got them to the second and third level before they were even in jeopardy of any way, shape, or form. It was crazy.
Yeah, and they were making great reads too. I mean, there was 2 touchdowns where Joe bounce read, and
Yep.
Obviously had the speed to get to the edge, get to the end zone. So those guys have been doing a great job. We've been locked in. It's great to see them have success. It was funny. I had a visitor at the game who's just one of my sister's friends, and he had traded Joe Mixon in fantasy the week before, so he was really feeling bad about himself that night. Because
Oh,
I think with 5 touchdowns, it's pretty unprecedented.
oh, that's a bummer. No question about that. Here's something. Here's a stat that I find real interesting. Joe Burrow in the 5 wins, Ted, 12 touchdown passes, no interceptions, no lost fumbles, clean. 12 touchdown passes, no giveaways. In the 4 losses, 6 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 2 lost fumbles, all 8 of his personal turnovers. So if Joe Burrow, takes care of the football, and what's going to help him take care of the football is run it like you guys did. Makes it a lot easier for everybody. You guys protecting him ball security, the whole 9 yards. I mean, it's stark, that comparison, that contrast. But man, once you take over 200 yards rushing, over 200 yards passing, and balance, I mean, the first drive, 5 passes, 4 runs, but one of those passes was a screen. So to me, it's like an extension of the run. So I'll go 4.5, 4.5. Real balance in the play selection. You had 22 first downs in the first half. 11 times you go to throw it, complete 8 for almost 90 yards. You run it 11 times for 77 yards. Balance in the play selection, balance in the productivity, the efficiency, the execution. That's all you can ask for, man.
Yeah, I think Frank and Zach and Coach Callahan did a great job scheming up a really balanced attack, and then credit to the guys going out and executing it. And like you said, turnovers. I think if you look at throughout the whole NFL is one of the biggest statistics that affect wins. I think if you're +1, it's over 70% win rate in the turnover game. So we know that we want to take care of the ball, and in our wins, that's been our formula. So, we need to kind of, carbon copy that, play smart fundamental football with a balanced attack, like you said. And, going to these games very confident that we're going to take care of the ball and come out with victory.
Against the Steelers to open the season, you end up going -5. Since then, you're +8. You're +3 right now. And that's tied for 5th in the NFL in the turnover department. And as a result, you've won your share of football games like we're talking about. And that stat is, I mean, the turnover ratio is probably the truest stat, in the National Football League. How about this turnaround too against Cleveland? Your first 6 drives, 5 of those 6 drives, you ended up in Cleveland territory at some point during the drive, but didn't get any points out of it. In this football game against Carolina, first 8 drives, 6 get in the red zone. All 6 you punch in from the red zone, 6 for 6 in red zone productivity. Right now in the red zone, Ted, you guys are 3rd in the NFL. 72.4% of the time now with that big day in the red zone, you scored touchdowns. That'll get it done too, won't it?
Yes, it will, and that's another big statistic that affects the win column. And I think we've been doing a good job executing when we're down there. One thing we want to maintain is being penalty free. Still, I think we're one of the least penalized offenses in football. Knock on wood, we got to keep that going. Yeah. So that's another indication, and we're executing and finishing drives, and that leads into time of possession and first downs earned and keeping your defense off the field. And our defense has been playing great when they're on the field. So we need to keep playing complementary football like that, and bring everyone to the table against good teams coming up.
Yeah, I'll tell you, man, that game was complete and complementary. Man, it was a masterpiece. There's no doubt. So now you got to, you did a great job as a football team compartmentalizing, the Cleveland game. Those things happen. Stinkers happen. How you going to respond? Look how you guys responded. It's almost like after a game like that, man, I'm not sure I want to go to the bye. Let's keep rolling. That's what you do. You got the bye. You got to go. You got to take the bye. And honestly, with the number of injuries you got, Ted, it's not a bad thing, really. I mean, maybe you'll get a few more hands on deck coming out of that bye. And then you got to go to Pittsburgh right away, and that game was just flexed. It's no longer a Sunday night game. It's a 4:15 or 4:25 start. It's the late afternoon start now, in Pittsburgh. But that's the fly in the ointment right now. 0-3 in the division. Got to go on the road and get that first division win, don't you?
Yeah, good. It was flex. We'll take care of business. Get home a little sooner.
Yes.
That's what we're thinking about. And I've encouraged everyone to. And my own self to take the bye and really, enjoy yourself, get away if you need to get away, take a second to refresh. Cause I think not only like you mentioned, we're going to get some guys back physically, but there's a big emotional aspect to this league and to weekly performance, daily performance, and even just a small respite of from that can do a lot of guys a lot of good. And I hope everyone takes advantage of it. We should come back refreshed and ready to go with games that are ultimately going to, determine the fate of the 2022 season. So it's going to be very exciting, and it's fun to go in the bye with a win. And you can not think about it for a while, which I encourage, because then we'll come back refreshed. But come next Monday, we're all Pittsburgh.
Yeah, no doubt. And you look at it, like you mentioned, the second half of the season, the last 8 games at Pittsburgh, at Tennessee, two worthy opponents, obviously. Then you get Mahomes at home with the Chiefs, and you get Deshaun Watson with the rematch, Cleveland at home. You go play your former teammate, the GOAT, Tom Brady at Tampa Bay. New England's got good young quarterback play. Buffalo's got Allen. Baltimore's got Jackson. So the defense is going to be stressed by some pretty good quarterbacks, obviously. And like you mentioned, all these defenses, there aren't any slouches in that group from a defensive standpoint, but you got to think we got to play at a high level offensively, because our defense, it's not easy for them either. It's no joke with these quarterbacks we're going against.
No, and this is, these are all, I think every team you mentioned is, a plausible playoff team in their respective conference. And it's a lot of AFC games that can really affect the standings. And, first things first, we need to go on the road to Pittsburgh. I don't know the name of the stadium, but Old Heinz.
Yep.
And get a division win, because right now we don't have any. And that's, that's something that obviously we don't like. And, we owe these guys from week 1 where we didn't play our best, and I have all the confidence in the world in our defense to hold up against anyone that you mentioned there. But it's on us, like we said earlier in this interview, to control the ball and score in the red zone, ultimately score points. And because that's what we're going to need to win these games.
Ted, you're an unquestioned, respected team leader. Did any younger players like Volson, for example, or anybody, did anybody come up to you to ask advice how to handle the bye week? And I mean, obviously you got to take care of your rest, take care of your diet. I know I had teammates that if we had a bye, they would have gained 15 pounds in 4 days. I mean, some guys are not very disciplined and a little unruly in that regard, but did you have any advice for any of the younger players or any players at all that on how to be a pro like you are?
Well, just again, what I said earlier, which is to, kind of just take a break, especially just as far as a competitive stamina standpoint, which I think is the number one trait to be successful in this league, is being able to compete your very hardest every single day and be scrutinized for it, not only in front of your peers and your coaches, but also publicly now with Twitter and all the, online coaches, all the ranking systems that we have. It can be a mental drain, especially guys coming into the league. And, it's something you have to learn and you have to condition yourself to. So the fact that we get a break even from that, to me, is more valuable than the physical aspect. I'm ready to go every day physically. Very blessed to be half the season, still feeling good and, want to continue to do that. But the mental, and emotional aspect of it, I think, is the bigger break in the bye.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I love that online coaches. We just talked to Lou Anarumo a little bit ago, and he's going to go down to West Virginia. His son's on the football staff down there, and he said he's going to sit in the stands and be a fan coach like everybody is. Why'd they make that call? Why'd they do this? Why'd they do that? That's why everybody loves the NFL, I guess, as much as they do, because they all think they can do a better job. It's the nature of the beast. I think you hit such a great point, though. I call it almost like the spirituality of the game. It's like there's so much invested from an intangible aspect. It's the tangibles, lifting weights, banging bodies, doing all the things you have to do to physically get ready to play the game at a high level. But then there's the intangibles, and those, that's what separate you. You're going to see a lot of guys out in the streets that, from a physical aspect, could qualify. It's like, oh, that guy, geez, he looks like he could play in the NFL. But a lot of guys don't make it in the NFL because they can't handle the intangibles. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, and I mean, I was even joking with my wife when I got home today. I was like, I feel like a different person. There's not a performance looming. I don't have to perform tomorrow, and there's not a game looming on Sunday. Obviously, we have Pittsburgh, in the back of our heads
Right.
at all times, but it's just funny how, I mean, there are so many different aspects of being ready to go every single day to be successful because your teammates are counting on you, your coaches are counting on you, the city is, your families are. So, it's a fun break. I'm very excited to enjoy the bye. We don't really have any plans, so that's kind of the best plans, honestly.
Well, you mentioned that after the big win at home against Carolina, you had some family and friends in town. You were going to go celebrate. What's it been like being able to come back and play in front of and be so close to and have as many people be at those home games at Paycor Stadium for you?
Well, I think it's so special because my family's always been just an amazing part of my life, and football has kind of been our business for as long as I can remember. And
Yeah.
to play at the top of at the top in the NFL is such a special thing and a fleeting thing, and a temporary thing that you can never take for granted. So anytime I get to share it, my families and friends have come to so many games across the country, and now I'm 2 hours away. We're going to have a ton of people at every home game, and it's a lot of fun to share that with them. So many people have helped me along the way, and it was a huge opportunity for me to be able to come back and play football in the Midwest and have the success we're having so far. We need to keep going, but it's going to be a lot of fun. It has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it must have been so far. All those family and friends just saw a heck of a game against the Carolina Panthers, like we talked about. The Carolina Panthers, they were 10th in the National Football League coming into the game in yards allowed per rush. They were salty. I mean, they played well. They had a stretch in a 25-game stretch all of last year and the first half of this year, including, your football game. They had only given up one opening drive touchdown. One in 25 games, a year and a half. You guys get the ball at the 10-yard line after a penalty, go 90 yards, 9 plays against them, and score a touchdown. I think it got them on their heels. They were like, what? This doesn't happen. Do you think that was a tone setter?
Absolutely. And I think if you look at our victories so far this year, it's starting fast and playing with the lead. We had a great script. Zach had a great early script and had a great game plan, and the guys really executed it. So that's where you want to start. With a nice 5-minute drive, 90 yards. I mean, it probably was more than 5 minutes, honestly, but
yeah, I think it was like 7.5, 8.
Yeah. Take half the first quarter and go up 7-0, and that puts the other team on notice. Now they're playing from behind. Offense feels a little bit more pressed. They go 3 and out, and we scored again. So now everyone's really pressing on that sideline. An early 14-0 lead, and you have to maintain that and continue executing. But that's a formula we'd love to continue every week if we can.
So I remember in games where it went well at the line of scrimmage, and we'd come back to the huddle and we'd all be looking at each other, kind of like, without having to say it, it's like, this is going to be a good one, man. This one feels pretty good. We're taking control of this one. Did you guys? And a lot of times we verbalized it too. To be like, man, come on, keep it up, keep the foot on the gas. Don't let them breathe, man. Let's keep your foot on their throat. Did you guys? Was there any point in the game? Was it that first drive, or was it a little bit later? Was there a point in the game where you guys looked at each other and said, man, let's stay after these guys. We got them now. They're going backwards.
I think there's a moment in every game where you can feel that, and you have to, learn that as a unit and as a team to really kind of nail the game shut. Obviously, this one was earlier than most of the games in the NFL are going to be because it'll be a fourth quarter drive that usually determines that outcome. Right. But I was glad at halftime no one hit us with the "it's only 0-0" cliche. At least we didn't go that far, but people were saying, let's keep it on. We're going to go back out there and score and really put it away. And, we did.
So do you think as a player, as an intelligent player, a captain on the offense, Do you feel like at this point in time, halfway through the season, as you get into the bye, and I know the coach is going through the whole self-scouting process, and all right, well, there's tendencies here. We got to break, we got to maybe let's confer with our defensive coaches and have them break us down, and we'll break our defense down. All that good stuff goes on during the bye week. As a player, you feel like, boy, this is our identity. These are the things we do well. All your experience in the league, do you feel like I know what our identity is and should be in the second half of this season offensively?
Absolutely, and I think we've shown a lot of that in some of these early victories. And that being said, we're going to need to remain to be fluid. If you can put in something new that teams haven't seen, especially here in the last quarter of the season, to gain even a minute competitive advantage, maybe get a big play, explosive play. But we're going to that's something that our coaches do very well, and as players you have to be able to execute that. But I think we're going to have our core. Our core is in. We've shown who we are and what we are. I think players and roles have declared. Obviously, that'll continue to be a situation of need, and guys will be stepping up throughout the year. But I think we know who each other are too, and we have worked pretty well together. So all that's going to need to culminate in a 2-month period of success, high execution, high energy, and finish with victories.
You've been with Super Bowl teams, won Super Bowls. You know what it feels like when the offensive line is in rhythm, in sync. You feel like this offensive line, you can have tremendously skilled players at every position group, but if you haven't played together, it takes a minute. It does. That's just the nature of the beast. You feel like this group though is starting to get there, Ted, where you're really feeling like, man, yeah, we're 5 as one right here. We're 5 playing like one. We're a fist. We're getting after. Here we go.
I do, and I think that one of the things you just mentioned, 5 people playing as one. One of the tenets I believe in O-line play is to see the game through one set of eyes, and I think we're all doing that right now. I got to give a lot of credit to Alex Kappa, his football knowledge, his execution. Obviously, he's been playing the best football of his career, which has been huge for us. But to have him out there with me, it's a second set of eyes, almost like a second center. He's very, very knowledgeable. He knows this offense. We problem solve together. And, Cordell is a rookie learning, but is also, learning very fast. His trajectory has been great as far as being able to know what to do without being told what to do in a situation perhaps that was unscouted, just kind of, having a feel for the offense and how we do things. And, I always got to give a shout out to Jonah Williams and Lyle. They're playing great. And, this team is, we're on an upward trajectory, and we need to keep going and need to even accelerate it more. But, as an O-line, we take it very seriously that a lot of that stems through us. We have the most guys in the field at one time. And, we take that very seriously.
So was there any point during the game, Joe's an emotional guy. He's an excitable guy. Did Joe Mixon at any time come back to the huddle? It's like, yeah, boys, we got this bad boy. Let's go. Let's roll. Was Joe all fired up right from jump?
He was, and he offered us to spike the ball. So Cordell took first dibs, chugged it, and then spiked it. And then, I got my first spike in my career that day. So he was sharing the love. And, I was really happy for him, obviously happy for this offense. So, it was fun to, be able to celebrate like that in Paycor. It was 30 minutes of really just all scoring. So that was a lot of fun that first half.
Man, when you guys run the ball like that, up under center, running the ball and then play action pass off of it, and then get that screen game that you guys were utilizing. I mean, at that point, it's like Carolina's heads are like turned and spinning like, I'm getting blocked from all angles. They're attacking me from what's going on? I mean, that's an unbelievable feeling. There's no doubt about it. When they are totally on their heels and their heads are spinning, boy, you can do anything. It's almost like an offensive coordinator can, just go ahead and whatever I call, you guys are going to run it successfully. That's what goes on.
No, that's what it was. And that's, something we always need to strive to. Obviously, that's not going to be the outcome on every drive of our season. But if we continue to practice, prepare, and execute on game day like that, that's going to be the results. So very happy with that. We get to go into a break feeling good about ourselves and, not go the total opposite way. Like last week we were saying, no moping. Now it's like, we have to temper our excitement, which is, I think, is nice to have a break, come back refreshed, know we can do things, because confidence stems from performance. So now we're going to be confident going into games, knowing that when we perform well, we will win.
I had a coach in high school that I really respected, and this guy taught me a lot of football, and he was a big influence at a very young age to me. And he was the first one to say this. I heard it at every level afterwards, but this guy was like, you know what, Lapham, I'm telling you, man, as a team and you as an individual, you're never as bad as you think you are. You're never as good as you think you are. You hear me? You hear me? That's just football. That's just you never know. You're never as bad or you're never as good. Just keep working and he's right. He was right then. And it's a truism, but that's what makes the game so challenging, so enjoyable, so everything, isn't it?
It is. And what makes it so popular, it's very hard to do. Like we said earlier, a lot of the, the publicity of the NFL, it's this country's most popular sport. It's really an honor to be a part of. I've been an NFL fan, historian, collector my whole entire life. I've loved it. And I know, a lot of people who do too. So it's really fun to be a part of it. And you are never as good, never as bad. There's always someone gunning for you. So that's why you just keep rolling.
Yep. Stay level-headed in your approach, and prepare the same way every week like you have for so many years. You're a great example for this football team. And this we've talked about it in the past, Ted, and it's so true though. I mean, this football team, the two things that I think every good team that I've been on and every bad team that I was on either had this or lacked this, and that was respect for each other across the board and trust across the board. The good teams had both of those. The teams that struggled in those areas a little bit too.
And we've been building trust, and earning your teammates' trust is a big part about coming in. That's one of the things I really wanted to do early on, here is earn these guys' trust. You can say all this stuff and do whatever you want. If your teammates don't trust you, ultimately it's not going to be very successful. So we do have a ton of respect, a ton of trust. And, I'm excited for, where the season's going to go. It's going to be fun to see everyone after the break. It'll be good for probably all of our relationships to get a second away from each other and get to hang with our families, do some of the chores that you put in a drawer because you can't focus on anything else but football. And for example, I have to plug this, Dave. I'm sorry. We're launched the CincyHat.com today.
It.
So a lot of people have been asking me how to get these hats. And now we're gonna sell them on a website, the CincyHat.com, and all proceeds benefit the Village of Marici, which is a adult living facility in Indianapolis that provides independent living and services to adults with developmental disabilities. So one of my visitors from this past weekend was one of my best friends. His mom started this back. I'm not sure, but I've been involved for about 7 years now, and we do all sorts of stuff. The village is amazing. I can get you the numbers. I think there's probably 200 villagers right now, so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, give me your information on that. I'll try to get it out to as many media platforms as I can, and that I just even more respect for you using your platform to do good for other people. I mean, that's what it's about. You've made a huge impact in a very short period of time, not just with this football team, but with this community, and that's a tribute to who you are and what you're all about. There's no question about that, and I just marvel at your consistency of energy and enthusiasm on a daily basis, man. You bring it. You love football and you bring it every single day, no matter what.
Well, thank you, Dave. You got to, and that's how I've been able to have some success in this league. And, that's just something I believe in life too, a high energy guy, and having a lot of fun playing football. 29 years old, still get to play football, it'll never be lost on me. I'll never just go in thinking that this is, a normal situation. So very grateful for this opportunity. And, here we go, enjoying the bye and going in a big stretch. And let's see how good we are in 2022. Can't wait.
Here, my man. Appreciate you very much. And I really do appreciate you carving time because, your bye has started. And that was the interesting thing, too. Final thing is your guys' bye started before the game ended. You get up so much that guys could rest down the stretch of that football game. So the bye actually started while you were playing your last game. To me, that was like, oh, this is great.
It's so great. I mean, that was the first time in my career that's ever happened. Early on in my career, I was the guy going in those situations. So it was kind of a cool milestone for me to start a bye week. Like, that's a good point. Yeah, it did start. And for the fourth quarter, got some of the younger guys in there. And a lot of fun. Great day at Paycor. We need to have, many more of them.
That's great, though. It comes full circle. You were the guy that went in. Now you're the guy that's getting the rest. It came full circle for you. You've had a brilliant career. It's not over yet. Let's go win a Super Bowl, my man. You're the best. Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realized self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.